Amazement, there were more food packaging waiting for them when they returned. He couldn't believe people's kindness. Jack had more biscuits and a new dog bowl and a couple of tins of soup. He decided that tomorrow he would have to buy a paraffin heater to keep warm. He had a little flask with tea to warm him up, but it wasn't enough. Luckily, Tom had a tin opener and he opened a tin of vegetable soup, which they both enjoyed even though it was cold. Tom was so tired from the walk that he fell asleep right away, and so did his dog Jack. The day had both wiped them both out, and they were both snored in unison. It would have been a pretty sight for anyone walking by. The next day he woke to Jack barking loudly. He was jumping all over the bag of dog biscuits, and he was impatient and hungry as ever. Tom had no choice but to throw them and pour them into the bowl. Jack was snapping at them before they landed, and he couldn't eat them quick enough. It was funny to see, and he poured water into the dog bowl, and Jack knocked it over and it flipped over his head, dripping water over his confused face and ears. It was so funny. All of this feasting was making Tom hungry, and he looked down and he noticed there was a tin of pears, obviously for him. Although not his usual breakfast, he was very grateful. He sat on the church steps and he ate the lovely pears with a spoon. They must have looked a funny sight, but they didn't care. Tom was feeling good after his healthy breakfast, and it was a joy to walk into town and see the daffodils blooming. The bees were buzzing madly, and all was well with their world. Jack jumped about, obliviously excited, and his little tongue hanging out with happiness. He bobbed along next to him, and they made their way into town. Tom decided to walk a different route, as he liked exploring new places. He went round the back of the houses. It was nice to see things from a different angle. Jack looked a little lost, but kept up with him, his little feet making a tapping noise on the cobblestones. Tom was daydreaming as he glanced at the flowers pushing through the cobbles. Unfortunately, he didn't pay much attention to the youth walking menacingly towards him. If he had, he would have noticed the youth's clenched fists and his hunched shoulders and menacing dark eyes. The youth walked towards Tom, who had stopped to admire a flower, and he made heavy contact with his shoulder, knocking Tom hard against a brick wall. Hello, viewers. The Fortunate Tramp by Jason William Lee on Amazon Co. UK. Excuse me, said Tom. Mind how you go, he said. What did you say? The bad youth shouted. Tom heard the menace in his voice, and he decided not to say any more. He picked up his hat and dusted himself down. Jack had gone quiet beside him. Tom got ready to move on, but the thug blocked his way. Excuse me, Tom said again, trying to hide his apprehension. Cool, the youth replied. But give me your money first, he said, menacing. I haven't got any, Tom said. Yes, you have, mate. Empty them pockets and let me check for evidence, he said, moving closer. He thrust his hands into Tom's coat pockets. Tom was startled, a bit frozen in shock. All he could find were a few small coins in change and a rusty pound coin. You bastard, he shouted. Where you hiding more? You must have more than this, he said in disgust. Then he punched Tom in the stomach, and he laughed as Tom keeled over, and then the thug callously kicked him once more. Tom felt his nose and his lip began to bleed, and then he fell onto the cold, hard ground. Now it's your turn, he said to poor Jack. He picked up poor Jack, and his tail had stopped wagging. Jack had a confused look on his face. He held him above his head and laughed. As he did so, Jack kicked his legs, and then the thug threw him over the high wall. Jack landed on his back and was silent. Hope you enjoyed The Fortunate Tramp by Jason William Lee. Thank you, viewers. Got to sleep. I'm very tired.